We are the Heartbreakers and we are back. Brittany Brave is with us. Yes, she's comedian, actor, producer. According to Instagram, she's tiny and loud. We will see.
Did I live up to that? I mean,
Yes.
tiny so far.
Oh, yes, petite.
Yes.
Do you just like absorb everything around you all the time and are very present?
Yes. Like, I think, you know what's funny? And I want to like kind of debunk this now, at least from my perspective. Everyone says the comedians are depressed and dark. And that's not true. But I think it's less that and more we just see everything. Like, for what it is, we're going to pick up on the nuance in the room, the awkwardness in the room. And you're just not afraid to like address whatever size elephant is in the room.
The theory is people who are funny are actually intelligent people because you have to be able to read people, read the room, know what to make fun of. So I don't find I used to be friends with a lot of comedians in New York, and I actually don't find to be dark and depressing people at all.
Yeah.
Completely opposite.
I agree about comedians being intelligent, and I think it's just like awareness. And I do agree with the darkness, the self-deprecating. I don't trust people that are too happy. I mean, for sure, take care of yourself, your mental health, yada yada, etc. But like anybody that walks around and they're like, everything's amazing and I'm just full of joy and oh my god, and I'm like, do you not see that the world is quite literally on fire and like everything's about like look at it's like what you just said, look at everything around you. So sometimes I don't even think it's depressed and dark, it's just like things aren't always super glitzy and perfect.
How do you become a comedian? People just start telling you that you're funny.
I always say trauma is what leads you to stand-up comedy. And I mean, for me and my personal story, that's a part of it. I'm a domestic violence survivor. I dated a monster for 3 years and I started stand-up after that. But I performed my whole life, and I want to say the one constant thing that I've ever had about me is I knew I had an ability to make people laugh. It's the only thing that brought me joy. It was my way out of awkward moments. It's how I made sense of stuff happening in my family, dark times. Exactly. So I think humor was always really important to me. I say that relationship was the best thing that ever happened to me. I got to tie myself to comedy. I needed to change my whole life, to be honest. I was with him for 3 years. It was really dark. It was physical abuse, emotional abuse, and then obviously that trickles into everything else. And I had so many attempts to try to leave that situation, but I always looked at everything else in my life and I felt like I had nothing. I wasn't suicidal, thank God, but I felt like I didn't have anything to turn to. And the one thing I'd always had in my life was comedy. Laughter is completely infectious. And I honestly, the way that I made sense of that relationship when it got really bad, there was I put everything through the funnel of humor. And I would tell my friends these really dark things that were happening in the relationship, and they would be crying laughing. Like, they're like, we don't want to laugh, but it's like so funny and real. We as a society are going to be dead on arrival the day that we can't laugh at things.
I know.
The day that we can't talk about things. And the day, because what ends up happening, if you don't laugh about it, that's where it starts. Then you don't talk about it. And if you don't talk about it, then you just start turning a blind eye. It's not making fun of something. It's actually kind of the opposite. Like, it's our lives and it's in front of us and it's important. So we're trying to shed light on it. We're just comedians. So the way we do it is by making it funny. If you are not saying anything as a comedian, like, you're not pushing the envelope, the joke doesn't make people uncomfortable, the joke isn't brutally honest, like, get out. Like, you're not meant to be a comedian. And jokes are tamed now because everyone is afraid of that. A joke can be made about everybody. Sect of society, section of society. It can, gay, straight, white, black, poor, rich, whatever it is. And because there's truth and there's weakness and there's something to be said about everything.
Everyone can be made fun of too. I feel like that's going to be such a much lighter thing. Like, shine the light on everything that's awkward or weird. Like, even if it is someone with a mental disability, I can only imagine that I'd be like, I mean, I know when I talk about problems that I've had, like, and just like put it out there, it's automatic. That's the weight lifted automatically. It's like, yes, guess what? Life is real. People with disabilities is real. Everything is kind of part of the whole experience.
There is a wave now, and you're absolutely right with people getting canceled and jokes. As a result, comedians are kind of cowering back. You're noticing with the crowds, it's if you tame yourself and you are so afraid of getting canceled and you fall into this wokeness and stuff, you're going to train the crowds to be like that. And then they come to the show and there's this wrong misconception that they're going to just hear things that are comfortable and in their world and that they agree with. You're never going to please anybody. And I always say the comedian that pleases everybody or the artist that everybody loves and whatever, I'm like, is probably playing it really safe.
So how do you pick your jokes? Like, you just think of them randomly. You're like, okay, I'm going to use that for my next stand-up.
It either starts on paper or it starts on the stage, but either way I kind of go back and forth, and then it kind of becomes this process of like, okay, this is a funny line, test it out, it works, it doesn't. Maybe I say something off the cuff on stage, so then I go back to pen and paper.
Every time I go to a stand-up, it seems like all their jokes are flowing, and then it seems like that's just a random joke that fit with the crowd and the interaction, right? And then they still make it flow, so that's just natural.
When you do something, I think it's like anything, it's like you guys right now are in such a flow. When you do something enough, that's when the flow comes.
When I go to a show, sometimes I won't go to stand-up because I don't want to feel if they bomb, and I don't know who's going to bomb and who's going to be good, and I just can't stand someone being on stage when they're making jokes and no one's laughing.
I mean, honestly, the biggest kick is comedians get a kick out of watching each other bomb. I'm not gonna lie. Like we laugh, like, just because we know that pain. Everybody's been there, and it's like a brotherhood thing.
Oh,
like,
that's cute. Even if you like the comedian, you're like, they're bombing, that's a little bit funny.
Oh yeah, well, if you don't like the comedian and they're bombing,
that's even better. I don't understand. That's natural. I'd be like, oh, thank God, he sucks.
Okay, I'm watching my enemy's fall. No, I'm kidding. Bombing just comes from like not telling the truth. Like, anytime I'm having a rough set.
The truth is funny.
The truth is everything. One of the things that I like live by in comedy and not is just like, you can't change whatever the truth is or the reality is of a situation. You know, you just have to figure out what you're going to do with it. You know, are you going to make a joke about it? Are you going to run from it? Cry. Sometimes you cry. Sometimes you run from it, you know, but the truth is always going to be what it is. So I just think like the sooner everybody faces it.
Dating a comedian, yes or no?
Oh, no. So the reason you start dating is because you're obsessed with this, right? Like, that's what it was. And like the lifestyle is the same. And it is like really fun to be able to talk about this thing you're both pursuing and this weird thing that only this other person gets. I don't want to be in a relationship now where like I can't turn it off at some point. And there's always going to be like an element of competition. Like, I've had that with some of the comedians I've dated. Like, that's not to brag, but I was always the more successful one. I honestly am at the point now where I genuinely don't want to date a comedian.
What the difference between like New York comedy and LA comedy and Miami comedy? Is there like a difference, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I always say the quickest way to get to know a city is to go to a comedy show.
Okay.
Comedy show or listen to like the local radio station or something, but more so comedy, because you learn the local references, how people talk, what their energy is, what they find funny. New York, I'm really grateful for teaching me how to write a good joke. I had to, because all the world's biggest comedians are there, and I was on shows with them and working the biggest comedy clubs. So you have to write and really bring your A game and have something to say. And then Miami has a baby comedy scene and is a completely different energy. And Miami taught me how to like work a room and good crowd work and MC and energy and stuff. So in LA, I'm like still learning. I haven't done a ton of comedy out here, but it's for sure a way different energy.
I hear you have some funny parents. Is that where you get it from?
I do. Shout out Karen and Tony. What?
Your mom's name is Karen?
Yeah.
My mom's name is Karen.
Oh my God.
She hates it.
She hates it. I remember when Karen started trending on the internet, my mom, because she's in her 70s and like she uses the internet baseline for work, no social media. She literally thought that the internet, all of the internet, at one point was talking about her. Like she was like, man. Yeah, and I'm like, that's the most Karen thing in the world.
That is the most Karen thing.
She's like, why is everybody talking about me? Oh my God. And I'm like, not you.
Brittany, it has been so fun having you here.
Thank you for having me.
What's your Instagram handle?
Brittany Brave, my name. Brittany. There's a million ways to spell Brittany. And Brave, like courageous. It's the whitest name ever. And Brittany Brave.
That's such a cute name.
Thank you. Everyone's like, you were destined
I thought it was fake.
No, it's really my last name.
That's cool.
My grandfather's name was Bravo, and then when they came here from Italy,
they did Brave.
They did Brave, the most American thing ever. So
that is so cute.
I was like, I always said,
don't get married and change your last name.
Hell no, he's taking my name.
Yeah, you should.
I would.
You should.
I'm like, so with that name, I was like, I either need to be a superhero, a comedian, do porn, and now I have an OnlyFans. I do comedy, and I am a superhero.
Bravo's cute,
isn't it?
Yeah,
maybe I should do that. Cute. But yeah, Brittany Brave on everything. Come to a show.
Love it. We're gonna come to one. Yay! We'd love that.
Okay, bye guys.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.